Today on Drawbli,
Ben is drawing lots of things.
click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
And comment below with ideas of what we can do to improve as artists.
And share your lots of things online with the hashtag Drawbli.
So Ben, you have been on a drawing rampage this week.
I have drawn a lot this week,
Yes.
a lot.
You've immersed yourself into the pool of artistic creation, and I have only seen you come up for air maybe once, maybe twice.
So I think there's like 4 different, I don't know, I don't even know if I would call them paintings in this one because I didn't spend as much time as I would on like some of my other stuff that I've spent like a whole video working on one thing where it's multiple hours. These are probably, I'll say how long I spent on each one like when it comes up. This one was like maybe a little over an hour, so it wasn't a ton, but yes, I've been on a drawing rampage lately because I've been in more of a quantity mood lately.
Quantity mood. So quantity over quality, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so there are periods in your growth in really any field, but in art specifically where you'll have different focuses. You'll have a focus on quantity or you'll have a focus on quality. And when you feel, there are like different stages. There's a really cool graph that helps like illustrate these places where you feel like you're not growing or you feel like you've really leveled up recently. If you feel like you've really leveled up recently, you'll often focus on quality a lot more. You'll like work on one piece a lot more because you've recently leveled up and you want to apply all those skills. But a lot of the time, especially early on for people in their career, they need to focus on quantity to get that mileage up and just get that like muscle memory practice and everything else in. Mm-hmm. But throughout your experience as an artist, you'll constantly hit moments where you feel like you haven't done a lot of growing lately, or you'll hit moments where you feel like you can't see your growth lately. And those are points where, in my opinion and in my experience, as a professional artist for a number of years, you should go back and focus once again on quantity.
I think that's great advice, actually. That relates directly to like when you say it, like that hindsight is 2020 thing. I'm like, oh, I can totally see those moments where I've just sat down and drawn, and in the end finally felt like a lot better about what I'm doing and creating. When I had initially sat down, I didn't feel like I had that much to offer. But that's awesome. I really love that insight.
Yeah, it's often kind of tough to recognize these periods of needing to focus on one or the other, but the more you do it, the more the better you'll get at recognizing when those switches need to happen.
Can I just say I love this, actually? Love this piece.
There is the first one done.
Yeah.
I didn't like this, and typically for me, when I'm drawing a lot of stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, that's a really sure sign to me that I need to step back and stop trying to spend a ton of time on any one thing that I'm not going to enjoy, and just focus on quantity. Focus on getting the numbers up.
That's a really good insight too. I like that. Like, are you having a hard time enjoying anything you're drawing? Then just draw a lot more things, lots of different things.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also kind of confuse this feeling with burnout. And you know, burnout is a completely different topic, and it's definitely a real thing. Like, everybody will get burnt out if you just like do way too much. It's happened to me. It's going to happen to me multiple, more times in the future. You just have to be able to recognize it. But I think you can kind of confuse this feeling with burnout, where you are drawing a lot of things, and you're like, man, I'm not liking this, or I'm not having fun, or I feel like like I said earlier, I'm not getting better, I'm not growing, I'm feeling so burnt out. And it's like, well, maybe you're not necessarily feeling burnt out. Maybe you're having this other feeling of needing to just sketch for a bunch of little things. Stop trying to create the next Rembrandt piece and start just like doodling.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing a lot this week. A lot of just kind of doodling.
Yeah, I like that. I like that that's an option too in art. I mean, you know me, I come from a different field entirely. As a professional, I'm a nurse. And so burnout is talked about immensely in the nursing field.
Yeah.
All the time. But there's no option to just doodle as a nurse, if that makes sense. Like, you're just burnt out.
Yeah, it's your job.
Exactly.
I mean, and like I said, burnout's definitely real. It's a little different, right? When you're, if your professional job is drawing, you know, you're an artist, and you can't just, like, stop going to work,
But
right?
I like your differentiation there between, like burnout, and what you've described here. That's cool.
So I've been, you know, some of these a little more work than others, like that last color sketch, which is what I kind of call that style, because we did those somewhat recently where we like colorized sketches, and that's like currently one of my favorite styles of just like it's a little, I don't know, I focus like a little more in the stylized region, a little more cartoony. I really enjoy that kind of stuff instead of doing a little more closer to the realism spectrum like this. This is obviously not realistic, but it's more realistic than the last thing. This was something I did in Starbucks last night when we were hanging out.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I was
I spent
falling
like
asleep, but that was fun.
You were. And I spent like less than 30 minutes on this. But I was really happy actually with the way this turned out for spending such a small amount of time on it. I've been playing around with trying to use a lot of new brushes to just focus a little more on brushwork and figure out exactly what that means for me. It's cool. I really enjoy being able to take this time to step back and also focus on the bigger picture. You get, you know, kind of tunnel vision a lot of the time when you're working on your paintings, and it's like, oh, I have to work on this one piece and get this absolutely perfect, blah, blah, blah. But I enjoy like looking at the whole of your art. Like, oh, am I going in the right direction in terms of the style I want to create?
Yeah.
All that kind of big picture stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, it's really cool to see you in a place of right now, like a lot of exploration and just trying things out, new and different things. Not right now trying to hone one specific technique that you're already really familiar with, but pushing yourself into new areas because, you know, I think we're still in a very much a learning stage, of course. We haven't settled into one particular style or method. All of our art looks different from itself, from your last week's art, from the week before that, in a lot of ways, because we're not locked in at all to any one specific method of creation.
We're trying a lot of stuff and picking like small things from those to incorporate into our workflows.
And granted, I can, pick out, our art from each other just because we do have different styles and methods of creation, but within your own body of work, I can see like differences in how you're creating here and what you're doing to create that versus what you've created in the past.
Yeah. The last one of the guy that I just did and this one were just meant to be like super messy. I used like 50 different just random brushes, just trying to get some kind of random organicness like just splattered on to kind of have some fun playing with some different stuff here. I've been watching some Marco Bucci stuff lately, specifically on brushwork and like having fun with like almost like a childlike fun is how he describes it, with just creating, fun shapes, like using these kind of almost random brushes, even if it's not necessarily helpful, to help add some visual interest to your painting. And it's something that I'm playing around with and like trying to figure out a little more, but this is a small step in that direction. Yeah,
I'm really excited you're doing this. I think we'll look back at this someday and see these first steps into this style of creation, and we'll see links to wherever you are in the future. And we'll say, oh, look, this is when Ben, was really getting started in a more abstract route.
His blue period.
His blue period, his blue phase.
I don't want to go through a blue period.
No.
Do you know what that is?
I've heard of that. That's like an artist, phase where they draw all in blues, and for some reason it's got.
That's not what that is,
it's
but
not?
But it is now. Yeah.
What is it?
It's exactly what you said.
I
Yeah.
knew.
So when you only draw in blue, every artist actually goes through this period where you only draw in blues. You're going to go through it one day. I mean, I'm almost there.
I only know it from reading about it in the Sunday newspaper comics section. It came up in a comic in the Sunday newspaper.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so limited information. Tell me about the blue phase.
You nailed it right on the head. bed, and there's my finished painting. So,
gosh.
I mean, we'll just have to discuss it again in the future.
We will.
And you can see some of that fun texture there, like just randomly everywhere. I was having a lot of fun with this one. It doesn't look amazing, but it was fun to do.
Yeah, I like it. Well, if you want to see more fun stuff get created, hit the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button.
And comment below with ideas of what we can do to improve as artists.
Share some of your work online with the hashtag Drawbli.
And this is the part where we say Goomba.
Goomba.
Now
Did you interrupt me?
Probably.
Did you interrupt me?
Uh-huh.
Why are you talking? You need to stop talking over me.
I'll interrupt you whenever
God.
I want. Whenever I want. Wherever I want. Whoever I want. Whatever I want.
You are just too aggressive.
I am so aggressive.